This has got to be the stupidest thing I've ever done. Welcome, guys, to my first ever on-screen attempt at doing the Bathurst 1000. This is a 161-lap race, which is contested over 6 hours for the most part without safety cars. And I'm about to start this challenge on Forza Motorsport 7, and it's just gone 1 AM. No, I won't be doing this all night, but I will probably stop after the first hour or something, and we'll go again from the morning. But you guys don't need to worry about that. This is a challenge I did as a kid. This was before I was an F1 fan. I was just a V8 Supercars fan. I did this in my spare time, and I just pretended that I was in the great race. And I'm going to do it today on video. So this is going to be really, really cool. I'm taking part in, one of my most favorite races of all time, the Bathurst 1000, and I'm doing a bit of a tribute to Greg Murphy, who is still probably my favorite ever driver in motorsports. We're running his Kmart livery from what looks like 2004. It's not an exact replica, but it's close enough. So we're going to go to the race. I don't know where we're qualifying. There is no qualifying. We're jumping straight into the race, and this is live commentated as well, so this will be really, really interesting. I haven't done any practice laps, but I know for a fact that the AI on Forza are a little bit crap, so that should help us. Whew. I'm nervous. Please like, subscribe, and let's get into the great race. Oh, no way. Oh no, that's actually so cool. So I'm starting from P4, and this is quite trippy because the first ever Bathurst that I watched was 2004, and Greg Murphy was starting from P4. He got a shocker of a start, and I think I'll be doing the same here today. Shall I go for a test? No, I don't want to, no, let's not ruin this by going for a test drive. I'm trying to get my drivatar thing selected. This is what looks like a pinata Fernando Alonso here. Hopefully that stays on now. But I'm about to go to the race. Pray for me. Why does it say experimental quick drag setup? Let's pray that we don't get stopped here for 5 minutes here, boys. There's so much anticipation I have for this race. I really should get going. But here I am, sitting here before the race looking at the bloody engine. Alright. I don't know what setup we're running or whatever. This is all just going to be a big stab in the dark. P4 on the grid. A lot of other... Oh, what the... No. There is so much wrong with this grid. Okay. I fixed up the grid. We now have a full grid of V8 Supercars now, as opposed to some random crap. But unfortunately, we have lost the golden position of P4. We will have to work our way through from here. Let's see if I can recognize any names in here. There's literally none. We're all set to go for the Bathurst 1000. Let's get into it. Six hours, 1,000 kilometers, 161 laps. Away we go for the Bathurst 1000, and I need to work out what I need to do to shift up gears. Here we go. Lap 1. 161, and that is a big boy lockup into turn 1. We've got a lot of time to get accustomed to this car, to these drivers, to this track. We've dropped down to P9. It's not been a great start. We've got Garth Tander back there who was backed out of it. Unfortunately, I don't know any of the drivatars here. They're not real life drivers. They're not even people on my friends list, so they're just going to be complete randoms here. Let's just pretend it's an online race. They're the greatest virtual drivers in the world are coming together to race in this race. Oh god, here we go, around the outside, going up the mountain for the first time. Really close racing. I'm racing on the pad, and I may switch to the wheel at some point if I decide, or if I do get bored. Probably switch around with the camera views as well. This is going to be a very dynamic race, one of which is not going to be all too familiar with what you're used to on my channel. And I don't even know how this is all going to play out. There's a lot to think about in this race, 6 hours. Normally a stint length is 30 laps, or it used to be a few years ago. It's probably a little bit shorter than that now. But I think the fuel, at least in Forza, lasts for around 22, 23 laps. So we will be making quite a large amount of pit stops in this one. That's already contact with the wall, and if I'm honest, I wanted to keep my car a little bit more cleaner than what we've got at the moment. We've got Shane Van Gisbergen, or shall I say Anderson Kim, going up our inside at Forest Elbow. But we have survived the first lap so far, which I am very, very happy about. Down Conrod Straight, one of the longest, if not the longest straight in Australian motorsport, 300 kilometres an hour. Big boy lockup as we head into the chase. I'm watching this race for 15 years, and this is the first time where I won't actually be able to see it, which is a real shame. At least the vast majority of it live, because I'm now living in the UK. I am Australian, if you haven't already figured this out. But I'll try and catch whatever I can of this race. What's that first lap? 2:20. That is atrocious. So an unbeatable AI. I think these guys are going to be running around at a pace of like 2:10s, 2:11s, 2:12s. For reference, in real life, in practice today, guys were running around in the 2-minute 4s, 2-minute 5s. That is kind of like quality trim though. I think you'll expect them to be like up in the 6s and 7s, which is crazy to me because Greg Murphy's lap of the gods in this very car in 2003 was a miracle lap of 2-minute 6.8. Now they're doing 4s, and I reckon I could beat a 2-minute 6 with my lack of experience. Anyway, I'm rambling. I need to knuckle down a little bit, get a feeler of this car, and probably stop talking a little bit. That is a very important component to this race. We of course do want to win this thing, but of course we want to get to the end. That is the end goal. Plant the power. Coming out of Forest Elbow. No assists, by the way, which is a little bit alien for me on a controller. I don't exactly have the same... I'm just not in tune with a controller like I am on the wheel. So I will probably give that a go at some point. But from what I've played, the wheel is a little bit crap on Forza, so not really sure how that's going to go for me. Here we go, Pinata Hands boy here with some exclusive cockpit view action. Let's give this a feeler for a lap. See if we can get a better handle on what the car's doing. Guys, if you've never seen this race, you really do need to give it a go. It's quite incredible. Such close racing on a marvellous racetrack. Had the pleasure of driving it a lot on iRacing over the years, as well as like the Codemasters games, the old Toka, Race Driver 3, Race Driver 2, the original as well. That's where I did all these original Bathurst 1000 races. I did a couple on Toka Race Driver 2, or V8 Supercars 2, whatever you call it in your region. But then I did like 3 or 4 on Toka Race Driver 3, and that game got me from like 2006 to 2010 when I got Forza Motorsport 3 on Xbox 360, and then later that year, you guys know the rest. I got F1 2010, and kind of never looked back. But it's a real shame there's no dedicated V8 Supercars game, or at least like a remake of Toka. I really appreciate what they did with Grid this year, remaking that, but I feel like what a lot of people want to see, myself included, is a remake of Toka 3, or at least an updated version of that, with that handling model. The handling model of the Toka games was really good, and it's a real shame to see the direction that Codemasters have actually gone with their handling model with Grid. Because, yeah, I loved the Toka handling model, even on the pad. I just had a moment. Oh god. I was about to have another one before that rewind. Just had a flashback to like Toka 2, Toka 3, where I would do this race, and you would actually, the damage was actually quite good. You would lose your front windscreen, and that was always so triggering for me because the car looked so ugly and so naked without the front windscreen. I remember I was like 80 laps into this race at one point. I think this was the days of no flashbacks, if I remember correctly. I just tapped the wall going over the top of the mountain, and the windscreen shattered. And my heart, at the time, literally shattered. Because I was trying to run a clean race, and the car was, for the most part, actually spotless. So upsetting. We're coming up to 5 laps now. 155 to go. Hope you guys are enjoying the video so far. This seems like a podcast. We come across the line. This is a 2:13. Lap times are getting better, but we need to keep improving. The leaders are getting away. This first stint, the whole of this first stint is going to be entirely me building my pace and consistency. But we will make inroads towards the leaders. I need to make sure that my fuel economy is quite good too, because if we can sneak an extra lap or two here or there every stint, that's a free pit stop at the end of the race. Or one less pit stop at the end of the race, shall I say. I don't know how tyre wear is going to be, but from what my experience on other games is that tyres do get pretty messed up towards the end of the stint. Since we are only doing 20 or so laps, tyres should hopefully hold out pretty well. This is a rear limiting circuit, a lot of slow speed corners. I mean, the top of the mountain is tough on the old right front, but the rear tyres really is what you want to look after. If you start sliding around, you've got no pace. Basically straight lining skyline. That's what you want to see. Cutting corners. Basically my motto, as you can see on the rear boot lid. Who would have known that would have been the motto that I followed for the rest of my life. Let's rewind, because I don't want to live with a broken tail light on the left rear. Nobody wants to see that. Although the car will get very, very banged up over the course of this race. So I think damage is probably just inevitable at this point. When the hell did I tap the left rear? I'm rewinding and I'm getting nothing. Oh, there it is. Okay, we're back. I wonder how long this video is going to be. I'm going to say it's going to be an hour and 20 minutes, something ridiculous like that probably. So when I live com, I just ramble, I just talk, and the more I talk, the more I'm going to leave in the video. So I'm going to stop talking. Make life easy for myself. Oh, there's a bit of an incident back there. You know what's really annoying is I can't look at replay cameras mid-race. Like, I can flashback, obviously, but the brilliant thing about the F1 games is I can switch to different cameras and look at what else is going on the track, albeit within a 15-second period. But that's what I do in my career mode races, by the way, instead of watching back the whole race like some lunatic like Tom and Arav. I don't know how they do that. Nice run over the top here. I'm starting to look like an actual driver now. Getting closer to the walls. Closer to those corner cuts. Not gonna lie, I was doing a little bit of research before I went into this race. Turns out there was like 1 or 2 other people who've also done this challenge on Forza. A massive shout out to those guys. Saw them doing 2-minute 10s, 2-minute 11s, something like that. And I thought, geez, they're terrible. I'll be doing 2-minute 9s, 2-minute 8s easy. And here we are. My best lap of like a 2:12 or something. I'm an absolute joke. 13.1. Haven't even done a 2:12 yet. My best is a 2:13. I'm going to be very competitive against myself in this challenge. I want to get like I want to get in the 9s. I want to break the 2-minute 10 barrier if I can. But to do so, I feel like I've got to actually look after the tyres. You're just as capable of doing your fastest lap at the end of the stint as opposed to what you can at the start. The tyre wear and the fuel burn kind of negate each other, so you can basically run the same pace all stints, at least from what I've seen. My exit on the corner road sucks. I'm going to take a later apex and get on the power earlier. It's costing me all the way down this straight. I'm also braking too early. I'm being too much of a Nancy. What is this? Formula Drift? There we go. That's a 12. 12.7. We're starting to get in the ballpark of what the AI can do. Let's have a quick little sit rep. Fastest lap. 2:12.7 from us. Best at the front is 2:11s. So that's great. The guys behind, I checked and they were in the 2:13s. Since I've stepped up my pace, they've also upped theirs, which is odd. I wonder if there's some kind of like rubber banding going on, because they just seem to be there. They're not really getting any closer and doing anything, which you know, I'm actually happy with at this stage. I don't really want to be fighting. You just want to run the cleanest race you can. It's all about survival, this race, much like the Indy 500. You just want to be there at the end in the final stint, and then all the squabbling, all the attacking, and it goes on there. The first, you know, 80% of the race is all strategic. It's all strategy, looking after tires, being good on fuel economy, trying to run long, give yourself flexibility for the end of the race, and then the fighting all takes place at the end. That's what I love about this race, and what I love about Indy as well is I draw a lot of similarities to this race, even though what goes on circuit is worlds different, completely different cars as well. Yeah, need more racetracks like this in the world. You can tell I've been talking on this lap because I'm now a second down. Oh, what a save! Oh, get in there, Lewis. 12.0, nearly in the 11s. This feels like a good lap. 11.5. We are cutting the margins down like Kmart cut their prices. Shout out to Kmart, the Primark of Australia. Starting to just get a good rhythm now. I think I'm using higher gears. I'm a lot more smooth on my power delivery. Getting a bit more confidence under brakes. It's all making a small difference. And hopefully now we're starting to edge towards coveted P7. Oh dear. 58% on the front. We're only 13 laps into this race. I have not been kind to my tyres relative to the guy I was watching on YouTube. Understeer City. We've got a bit of a problem here, lads. We have not been kind to the tyres. 66% on the front right. The rears are fine, which is probably the last thing I was expecting. I think this first stop is going to come a little earlier than what I anticipated. I always thought we were going to be fuel limited. But I think the tyres might force our hand before the fuel does. Oh dear. 91% on the tyres. They do not look happy. They do not feel happy. I am embracing this first pit stop, I'm not gonna lie. Oh dear, oh dear. I'm just getting understeer central now, 1.7 seconds down. I'm absolutely bleeding time right now. So I'm going to pit at the end of this lap. Yeah, these tyres have just hit their wall, I think. I'm turning and nothing's happening. Literally nothing. Take the rewind. I'm turning, I'm full lock and nothing is happening there. So, okay, we definitely need to bring it in on this lap. It's a real shame as well because the gap to the lead group is just getting way too out of hand and I'm taking flashbacks like no tomorrow now. First gear for the elbow just to get it through here, and oh my god, the understeer is bad. We've now fallen into the clutches of the cars behind, which for the entirety of this stint has never happened. I feel like I'm always convinced that these guys just don't want to pass me, but now our pace is so slow that is now forcing them into the game. We've now got some of the leaders in the lane as well. Nice and early on the brakes. Now that I'm talking, the driving is out the window. I'm understeer. Like nothing. It's like I've not got any front tyres on. It is that bad. 96% on the front left, front right. Can't even get my rights from lefts now. It has been a long stint, and it is 2 a.m. With this pit stop, I call an end to my first session of play. When I rejoin this pit lane, I will have had a night's rest, and I will join you with a much more fresh and happy Tiametmarduk.
Waved reds, we have waved reds.
Alright, so you join us in the next morning. Unfortunately, there has been a red flag because a kangaroo was on the track. In fact, there was a whole family of kangaroos, so the race had to be suspended. In real life, my Xbox just didn't save my progress, and I had to start the race again. So what we're doing is we're resuming the race kind of where we are. We're pretending like it is a red flag. It's now a 141 lap race. The first 20 laps you could say kind of did count. So if you add them up, it will still be 161 laps. But yes, we just had a red flag. So that is how we are going to progress forward with this. It's really annoying because I wanted to get this all done in one smooth window, but that just isn't going to be the case. But I guess the handicap for me now is I'm down in P18. That is the reforming position that I was in. I guess I was kind of around that position, given that I just came into the pit lane. So yeah, I mean that's the price you pay, I guess, for restarting the race and bringing everyone closer together. So this is the way that we're gonna do it, and hopefully now with a bit of a reset, a chance to sleep on it, hopefully we're a little bit better. 5 red lights and away we go for the restart of the Bathurst 1000. And it's not been a great start, has it? P18. Let's hope that we have a somewhat better understanding of the car now. We are well and truly entrenched in the traffic. These guys going quite slowly. Let's hopefully look after our tyres a whole lot better. And will hopefully be a threat in this section of the race now. Oh, big dive bomb in a turn 2. Alright. Problem is these guys are really slow in traffic. Just absolutely leaning on this guy. Let's get up the inside. Saw past another one. P15, don't mind if I do. Tyres feel way better than what they did at the end of the first stint, so I am very grateful for that, to have a bit of car speed once again. Whoa. A bit of congestion as we go over the top of the mountain. Thank you very much for that. My radiator doesn't look too good. Oh, my front bumper. More like. Side by side for the dipper. This is this never happens. There we go, better traction. Absolutely fly past him. And we're into P14. I don't know how these guys were so fast on their own. I think there's something a little bit funny with this AI. If you let them get out of sight, and they're just unbelievably quick. Kind of reminiscent to the old F1 games. But when you're actually racing them, when you're around them, they're absolute trash. Oh, he's in the wall! That's another position, P13. The mistakes are coming from the AI now. They're under pressure. Okay, just leave the door wide open. P12. Gap to first place is already 13 seconds. How he's kind of pulled that kind of a gap, I have no idea. Has me worried a little bit already. This is not good. 6 laps into this race, into this next stint, and the tyres are already getting murdered on the front. And I definitely haven't been locking them up as much as what I did in the first stint. This has me a little bit worried. Pace again from the AI is very, very strong. I just need to be a bit better in all areas, to be honest. This was never going to be easy. Maybe I was a bit naive to throw myself into the deep end with no assists. The hardest difficulty and one of the most difficult racetracks in the world. Who knows, maybe the wheel will save me. We are starting to get a little bit closer to this next group of cars, so I'm in sweat mode, to be honest, at the moment. You can see I've just cheesed that. But yeah, grind is well and truly underway. Let's see if we can get back in the pack. Starting to get a little frustrated now. Having to sweat really hard to just keep up with these guys. I feel like I'm faster in the corners, but on the straights I'm just losing. I'm just giving up a lot of time. It's just free lap time, I'm just losing. Like, I started off 1 second, 1.1. I've lost 3/10 on this straight alone to the car in front. It's just something I picked up in the last lap or two. It's literally nothing I'm doing wrong. It's all straight line speed, which is so annoying. Because this isn't the kind of race I want to be sweating and putting in qualifying laps all day. I do want to be able to chill and kind of banter and talk a little bit. If this is the kind of race we're set up for, then I dread to think I'm going to feel in an hour's time, 4, 5, 6 hours time. Doing 11.0, which is, I think, a personal best for me so far. Yeah, you can see just on the straight, you're just losing so much time. It's a joke. Come on, you scallywag. Look at how slow he is. Through the corners. This is what I don't understand. You catch up to them and they're like rubbish. But it's taken the best part of 7 laps to just get this close, to be in striking distance. Now, watch, we're in the slipstream. And we're just losing time. 7/10 down. Me catching up to these guys has immediately slowed them down and is allowing the leaders to get away. Wonderful game. Yeah, I'm just gonna cheese that because I'm not getting held up behind you again through this section of the track. It's a joke how slow they are once you're actually racing them. Now it'll be interesting to see if he comes back at us here on the straight. Ooh, a 2:10.9. We're getting there. You saw nothing. You saw absolutely nothing. Let's just take that position and run. Now this is where the real grind begins. 7.4 seconds to the next group of cars. And we're nearing the end of this first, or second stint now, technically. I feel like the tyres are in better shape. I'm in better shape. Let's just hope that we can still eke into that lead a little bit as the tyres start to go off. That was my huge weakness of the last stint. Don't even care that I rewind. I've done quite a few rewinds. Every time that I do one, just adding to my overall play time, isn't it? I really ought to clean up these mistakes. But, you know, if I don't know, I feel like the difficulty is probably maybe a tad too high for me to just do a live com. If I have any mistakes, it just kills any chance I've got of catching up, so I kind of need to iron those out once they do happen. But I feel like the more experience I get, the more time I get, I'll just get more consistent and hopefully be less of an issue. What? What's going on? 5 seconds is the gap to the next group of cars. Have they just hit the wall in terms of tyre wear? I feel like they might have. I feel like we are coming alive because we've been looking after our tyres. That was right up there as a personal best as well. Come on, we can do this. Whoa. Just dipped into the 3-second mark to the next car ahead. How's the tyres? 85% on the front right. I hope everyone pits this lap because I feel like I should too. If I stay out maybe one more, get the point where we lose a lot of time. Because when the tyres went red in the first stint, that's when things really started to go downhill for us. Okay, everyone is into the lane. It looks like they're all going very slowly as well. We're just going to fly in here. Use the tyres for all they're worth. And that is us back in the pack with the top 10. That has been a great second stint of this race here. I'm going to stand up, stretch my legs. Get the blood pumping. For the next stint, we're going to be straight on the attack with this next run. Tyres changed, fuel in the car as well, and we'll just go again. We still had a little bit of fuel in reserve as we rejoin on the track. It's very close. We're just going to ghost through this guy, are we? Probably. It's been a great representation to show how much time we're losing. I think it's all shifting. We're not using... I tried manual with clutch, but I figured I'm a little bit slower with it, and I feel like that's the acceleration that we're losing out on. So that's a shame. But, you know, manual with clutch with these cars, it doesn't make sense because when you upshift in a V8 supercar, it's flat shifting. It's a bit like an F1 car, like the engine gets cut for like literally a fraction of a second. So like, I don't even notice it. And so, because I'm manual shifting and not using the clutch per se, I'm losing out to the AI, which is unfortunate. But we seem to have the measure on them in the corners, and at least while the tyres are fresh. So let's make full use of that. We are now in the pack with the top 10. Slide up inside of Chaz Mostert. And we're into P16. Good first stint. I feel a whole lot more alive now. We'll hopefully pick a few of these guys off now that we're in the vicinity of them. It'll be very crucial to not lose more than 2-3 seconds. As soon as we start to do that, they'll be back to their front running best pace again. So I'm gonna get my head down and see what I can do. Oh, bit of a moment there for one of the Volvos. We go up the inside of the last corner. Someone has gone. That's Ralliart, the guy who was behind us the second half of the second stint. But here we go. P9. We've definitely gained out of this. I'm going to start answering some questions because I put an Instagram post out asking if there were any topics you guys wanted me to talk about. One of them was what my favourite Bathurst was, or what I think the best Bathurst was. I'm going to come right out and say that Bathurst 2005 stands out as one to me. The whole Craig Lowndes tyre incident that happened right here. The Greg Murphy, Marcus Ambrose pile up near on red flag that happened right here. A lot of moments in this race which really stood out to me as absolute crackers, but I think every race since 2005 has been pretty darn sick. You'll be hard pressed to find a bad Bathurst race. So let me know what your favourite is. I'm going to throw this one out there as well, but 2014 was also a massive year. I think there was 8 safety cars, maybe even a red flag, and Chaz Mostert won on the last lap under pretty controversial circumstances, at least for Triple Eight fans. What am I looking at here? There's 2 cars like literally driving inside each other. It's quite hard to tell, but they are literally doing that. Or am I? Yes. Okay. I thought I was mistaken for a sec. Oh, that's so distracting. I thought I was going crazy. You're gonna leave the door open. I just know it, and there we go. That is P7. Someone actually made a stop on the last lap, so they had amazing fuel economy and tyre preservation to get that far. But we're going all right now. Race leader is only 8 seconds up the road. The win is still on, despite the lack of straight line speed. Oh, here comes old mate in the slipstream. Is he going to do anything about us? Please no. Please, 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 please no. Could you imagine if there was DRS? Here he goes. Nearly side by side into the chase, and thankfully old mate backs out of it. We hold on to P7. We've actually made a mockery of that braking zone as well. A little bit too early into there. Now the next car ahead is 3 seconds away. Honestly, it doesn't look like 3 seconds, but obviously because these cars are a lot slower than F1, it takes a little bit longer to get that much further up the road, if that makes sense. If we were driving an F1 car, the gap would be like half that. It would be like a second and a half. Anyway, they're still tantalizingly close. I'll get my head down again, and we'll grind for that top 5. Hello! 4/10.
Third to fourth, this is the run to repark, he's up, and look at the split! It's awesome!
Insert Neil Crompton 4/10 up from Murphy. Jesus Christ.
0.4 of a second for Greg Murphy!
Tell you what, I'm just getting infinitely better at modulating the throttle, modulating the brake. I've actually got control and precision over what I'm doing. I can accurately like get 10, 20% brake pressure, throttle application through the corners now, and it's making such a difference now. I'm not wheel spinning and sliding around all over the place. I still lock up from time to time, but I'm still trying to find that limit, to be honest. Braking is probably the harder thing to get right, but we're getting there. Oh god, I'm not getting there with that corner exit, but the elements of trail braking are there. This has actually been really cool to just pick up and use the pad again and kind of reteach myself, relearn these skills that I had all these years ago on the F1 games when I was a pad player. It just ticked over to an hour in this session. Yeah, the goal I'd say for this stint now is to get myself inside the top 5, but I would also, as a bonus to that, would love to get a bit of economy out of this stint. I'd like to go one lap longer than the leaders, see if I can get a lap's fresher tyres, and just give myself a little bit more flexibility for the rest of the race. This lap feels like a qualifying lap. I want this guy to get out of the way, actually. Up the inside, they leave the door open just too badly there. 3/10 up as we go over the top of the mountain. We could get another position here if we're feeling frisky. And this is the top 5. Wow.
Look at the split! It's awesome!
It's insane how much time we gain here. 4.5 tenths. Wow. Top 5, boys. And girls. Wait a second. Crisis 179 is in front of us, but Crisis 179 is also winning the race. Please explain. Oh! Okay, I'm gonna take that. Gotta be ruthless in this race. I just wish we had straight line speed, man. Like, we'd be able to do so much. Well, we'd be able to challenge in so many more areas. Like, overtaking into the chase is just a non-option right now. This is where so many moves are done. It's like very much iconic in this race. But I'm now questioning whether we'll ever get a move done into here. Also into the final corner as well. That's another good overtaking opportunity. But like, all my passes are coming in the most unorthodox areas of the circuit. You just never see overtakes in the areas that I'm overtaking, which is me I'm not blowing my own trumpet or anything, but it's just where the AI are weak, and that's where we need to, make the most of it. Do I dare do it? Oh, don't tell me! Oh, around the outside into the S's of Skyline and then the Dipper. We are now on the podium in the Bathurst 1000 after 56 laps. And that's the leader right there. For the first time this race, the leader is in sight. Got a Mercedes in front of us. Who remembers these in Supercars? I remember they sounded really nice, but I think they were a bit slow. That was their main problem. It was a shame to see them go. We had Volvos as well. There was talk of Toyota getting involved. Now all we have is Ford, Holden and Nissan. Nearly back to Holden versus Ford again. Here's a fun fact for you guys. This is going to be a bit of self-promo as well, but if you've been subscribed to the channel for a while, you might have seen a video where I actually got to have a hot lap, or a couple hot laps in one of these things, around my local track back in Australia, Queensland Raceway. Nissan saw one of my videos on V8 Supercars and they said, hey, do you want to have a hot lap? And I was like, hell yeah, I do. And so, yeah, I had a few laps. I wasn't driving, I was a passenger. There's no way they'd let just some random off the street have a go in one of their cars. Actually, let's hold that thought for a second. Around the outside. All of my moves today have been questionable, and that is no exception. It's P2 now. Next up is the race leader. How many laps will he hold on for? We're in a real groove right now. But yeah, I think I got 3 laps around the circuit. It was unbelievable to have an experience like that. Obviously, the cars are mega in a straight line, but the thing that really got me was how amazing the cars are on the brakes. The stopping power is like anything else. It is unlike anything else I've ever experienced. Obviously, I haven't been in much, but yeah, it was absolutely incredible. The feeling of when these cars would get into a bit of a slide as well on their old tires. Amazing feeling. So lucky that I got the chance to do that. That was always like a lifelong dream as a child to even go out on the track, like let alone be a passenger in one of these things. Like absolutely amazing. Again, shout out to Nissan for hooking that up for me all those years ago. Link will be in the description. I might throw that video up on screen, or I'll definitely have a link if I remember. It's one of my favorite videos on the channel. Just doing a bit of gardening, doing the stewards' jobs for them, the marshals. Oh, just shaved it. I'm not gonna lie, I bottled the last corner a little bit. Probably could have been a 10.5. But I reckon on a good lap, once we get some clear air and a bit more experience, I feel like we could get into the 9s. Oh, he's in. The race leader is in. And for the first time in the Bathurst Grand Prix, yes, that was intentional, we lead. It's taken us 62 laps to get here. But here we are. This is the extra lap of economy that we're going to get, hopefully. Should probably get out of this camera view so that I can push on this lap. How much fuel have we got? 8.3%. Actually gone red on the front right tyre. But given the slow nature of the AI and their pit lane entry, I feel like, you know, doing the extra lap won't hurt us here. I feel like this will actually be somewhat of a leveler. If anything, we might be actually do the overcut. So let's see if we can make this work for us. Pull this off and we'll have fresher tyres for the rest of the race. Going through here, it's actually not too bad. I haven't hit the cliff yet, so we do have a tiny touch of performance. We do have a tiny touch of performance left as we go through this very high-speed right-hander. 8/10 down, yeah, the lap time really starts to fall out the window at this point. So this is all handy to know, like what the fuel economy is like what the range is. We'll also get a good idea of what a pit loss time is for us. So keep in mind it's 26 seconds is the gap at the moment. I feel like the pit lane loss will probably be about 25 or something like that. Actually gain a bit of time on this inlet. I feel like the AI behavior as well is a little bit funny. As soon as they're behind you, all of a sudden they're crap. Like their lap times drop off, but if they're in front of you, their times are better. So it's a bit. I wish it was the other way around. If they were behind you, I wish they were faster. If they were in front of you, I wish they were slower. But anyway, here we are. Pit stop time. Tires are at 88%. So we really have pushed these for all that they're worth. That was a 22, 23 lap stint. You'd probably get an extra lap out of it if we wanted to. But I'm happy with the economy so far. Here comes the effective race leader, Crisis 179. I think we're going to emerge in the lead here, but maybe just. We get a bit of a shortcut through turn 1, so that should help us. Ah! What is that? Alright, let's resume from here. That never happened. None of that ever happened. Let's have a nice slow entrance onto the racetrack, and there we go. That is an overcut of about 4 seconds there. We have the lead of the Bathurst 1000. Hey, what the hell? Are my eyes deceiving me? Is there someone stuck in the... Oh, there is! Last place is right there. How did that happen? You've lost the whole lap. Did you wait for me to come round and then decide, oh, maybe I should pick myself out of this barrier now? There we go. We have last place AI fighting away with technically the first place AI. That's nuts. Blue flags, please. Right, I'm going to answer some questions from Instagram since I have this opportunity to just have a chat. First question, or well, the most popular question is, what are your thoughts on the real life Bathurst 1000 that's going to happen this weekend / today, depending on when you're watching this. A lot of people want to know what my predictions are. I am going to say that Whincup and Lowndes will win the Bathurst 1000. So much experience there. Got a solid car. You'd have to say that the Mustang of Scott McLaughlin and Alexander Prema looks pretty darn threatening at this stage with their not only pace but fuel economy as well. That is very scary, but they've qualified on pole, and there always seems to be some kind of Bathurst hoodoo when it comes to getting pole position, and the pole sitter never really wins that often. So I'm not going to say that McLaughlin's going to win. I think he'll get on the podium maybe if he doesn't DNF. But I'd say Shane Van Gisbergen, Tander combination is going to be pretty good. Anyone from Triple Eight is going to be really solid. Who else? Dave Reynolds, even though he's starting way down in the pack, like beyond the top 20, I think. He'll come through, I think. I think James Courtney and Jack Perkins will do alright in the race. They might be a handy shot for a podium too. Apart from that, maybe Mostert. I think Cam Waters will fall down the order, despite having amazing pacing in qualifying. But yeah, that's going to be my prediction, I'd say. And I say Lowndes and Whincup because basically Lowndes as a co-driver is way stronger than Alexander Prema. I feel like the DJR Penske guys are a little bit weak on the co-driver department, even though Alexander Prema is no slouch. I just think Lowndes is probably the best co-driver you could have. He'll make up bundles of time during those co-driver stints. It's a shame I can't have a co-driver in this race. That'd make the workload a whole lot easier for me, and I could just sit back and chill and relax while the other guy does all the work. But I'll have to do it next year. I know the iRacing Bathurst 1000 is a pretty big event, but again, just short notice. I didn't really have a team or anyone to do it with, so I'm deciding not to do it. I'll do it next year though. I need a lot of practice in the iRacing V8 Supercars because I don't really, well, I find it quite difficult in those cars. They're very, very heavy and quite a lot different than what I'm used to. Love the GT3 cars on iRacing, but Supercars just feel a little bit like boats, but I don't know, it has been a long time since I've played them, so hopefully they're, I don't know, maybe my opinion on them might be different. And I'm just going to get this one out of the way as well. I think Hamilton will win the Japanese Grand Prix. I haven't really looked into the practice times at all. Qualifying is set to run on the Sunday morning, which may not even go ahead. If it doesn't, then FP2 results will stand as the grid, which would mean a Mercedes 1-2. And yeah, if Mercedes get 1-2, pretty much game over for Ferrari, isn't it? But hey, if Ferrari can overcome Mercedes here, then, well, I think that'll be very scary for Mercedes for the rest of the season. Because, yeah, high speed, downforce, you would say this would suit Mercedes a lot. So if they lose here, then, yeah, Ferrari could win anyway for the rest of the season. I got a funny story I want to share. It just rang to mind. One of the races that I did on Toka Race Driver 2 was this one, the Bathurst 1000. I had a very close race with the AI. I believe I was leading as well by, I'd say 10 seconds or something like that. I couldn't actually see them on the map. The mini-map was much like this, how it is now, with the AI popping up on screen. But I think back then, I want to say that there wasn't intervals, so I didn't know how far behind the AI behind me were. So I was a bit unsure as to how much I was actually leading by. And anyway, we're very, very close on fuel. But I think that was fine. The limiting factor was the tyres. I was getting near on to the point where they were going to puncture. And I was crapping myself because I could feel myself losing momentum in the race. And came to the penultimate lap, and the tyres were, you know, pretty much at the end of their life. And I had a decision to make. I was literally down the middle. I didn't know what to do. And my sister just happened to be in the room at the time, just watching like the final stint or something, and I asked her what to do. So I put the fate of this 6-hour race down in the hands of my sister, who had no idea what to do, what she was doing. And she said pit. And so I pitted for a new set of tyres, and I think I put like 1 lap of fuel in just to make sure. And so I pull into the pit lane, and literally 3 or 4 seconds later, I see the big train of AI cars come through the final corner and onto the start-finish straight, and I literally crap myself as I see my 6-hour progress go down the drain. And in the sheer amount of panic, I actually you could actually cancel the pit stop. And that's what I did. I cancelled the pit stop. And so what I basically did was serve the drive-through for no reason. And I emerged out on the track. And obviously I don't have the lead anymore. And sure enough, I get a puncture on the last lap. Race over. I think I finished like P11 or something like that. It was, yeah, very embarrassing. So let's hopefully not have a repeat of said incident today. I've never told anyone that story, but there you go. Still, even to this day, I sometimes say, "You ruined my race." Good times. How I even got myself in that blunder, I don't even know. Should have probably managed the race better. I was probably like being very aggressive on the strategy, like I always am, playing a really long, stretching the tyres as much as I could, and trying to get away with 1 less pit stop, when maybe in reality I could have just done an extra pit stop, spread out the tyre, wear a little bit better, and came home anyway. But classic Ben, even in the tender age of probably 10 or 12 or something, still managing to boss all races. Some things just never change. Wow. Pull out at 2-minute 10.5. I'm basically on autopilot mode. Just listening to some music. Wow. Oh, leaders are in. Let's see if we can do a 2-lap overcut this time. Chris's, who is effectively in P2 in this race, is getting held up by someone who needs to make another stop. So I think this overcut might be even more effective for us as we get a bit of a wiggle on. 86% tyre wear. We are not pitting yet. Right front tyre is the worst, again, as predicted. I'm starting to get a little bit better at managing the tyres. Fuel is at 9.6. You know what? We could probably get another lap out of this after this one if we really wanted to push it. Oh, but here's that chronic understeer. It's back. 90% on the front right. Fuel is also going to be a bit marginal on this last lap, but this economy that it's going to buy us later It's going to be so worth it. 6% of fuel left. I think we'll be down to like 1 or 2% fuel by the end of this lap. Should be alright. We may be in danger of losing the lead, but this will help us a lot at the back end of the race if we can pull this off. Turn! Please, give me something. Oh god, that's disgusting. Absolutely nothing as we go down the mountain. 94%. We definitely won't get any. Surely, it won't get worse than this in future stints. I probably have been a little bit worse in this stint relative to the previous one just gone by, because maybe I haven't been concentrating as much. I've been chilling out a whole lot more, and it's probably knocked around the tyre life, locking out the fronts a little bit more. And there we go, we have made it to the end of our stint. 95.5%. And these tyres will now have earned a well-earned retirement. They are gonna sit in a fence somewhere on a racetrack around the world, maybe this one, and enjoy the rest of their life, because that was a tough old stint for the front right. 12 seconds and closing. This will be very, very close. I think we might actually lose it here as we rejoin on the track. The pit exit feels so unorthodox. You basically have no speed. You're in first gear and it's just wheel spin central. But there we go. We lost the lead. We do have fresher tyres though. A bit more fuel on board. And overall, we're in a much better position than some of those around us. At least now I've got like a bit of motivation to keep driving me forward. Something to chase after. In the last stint, I didn't really have anything to do. I was just setting the pace, and the guys behind me won't really do anything about it. So it was just very much a chill stint. But now we're gonna have to be on the aggressive once again to try and get the lead back and make sure he doesn't get away. Because, yeah, it's so weird, like, the AI are in front of you and all of a sudden they're like a second a lap faster. They're behind you and they don't really want to push any harder than what you are, even if you back it off by a second or so. It's really odd. Why is there a BMW logo there? It's driving Mercedes. Maybe that's just his player badge. That's close. That's really close as we get down to the elbow. Not a great exit though from me. I was pinched on the inside. He's of course going to be able to get on power early. We're in the slipstream though, so we'll see if slipstream does literally anything for us. No, it does not. Nice to see that Mercedes OP extends into the 8 Supercars as well. Oh, okay. We have a move for the lead. Old mate has yielded, and we take control of this race once again. That's a sigh of relief. These guys are very fast once they're setting the pace. Near on risking the car, such as the amount that I'm pushing to try and keep up with them when they're in front. But when I'm setting the pace, it's easy as you like. Ah, yes. 10-4. That's a big 10-4. This also feels like a really good lap. This would be a low 10. Oh, it's a 10-0. Oh, there it is. Not quite the 9, but oh my goodness, we certainly know that a 9 is possible now. Gap is out to 6 seconds. Race time has just ticked over to 3 hours, though theoretically it's actually closer to 4 hours. Oh, they're all in. It seems quite early actually. Tyres, oh okay, yeah, probably getting about there. But the more I extend my stints, the more I can just run longer than these guys. We could find ourselves in a position where we could get away with one less stop versus those around us. But I'm going to have to evaluate how far we can go with this stint and then kind of work the race backwards from there. So 141 laps. I think if we work backwards from that, we could probably get 23, 24 laps out of a stint if we're really pushing it. So that probably gives us 117 as a pit window to get to the end from. You take away another 23 laps from that. That's 114, 90, 94. Oh, I don't know if we can make it to lap 94. Could we? Probably make it to lap 90. Just beyond that is a big stretch, so we might be pushing this fuel economy gain for not much benefits. How much we got left? 19%. That's... yeah, we'll get to lap 90, that's it. Damn it. It's not all doom and gloom though. Even if we have to make the same amount of stops as everyone, it will mean it'll be a shorter fill at the end of the race and on fresher tyres. So we can just go all guns blazing, because everyone else will have a bit of wear taken out of theirs. So it should be alright still. Fuel is at 4% and falling. You know, I'd love to know what actually happens on this game when you run out of fuel. Is it instant retirement? Can you like kind of cough it back to the pit lane? Do you get towed? Is there a safety car? So many questions. I would not want to be the idiot who risks it for the chocolate biscuit only to run out of fuel after so many hours of hard work. This is going to be our in lap, by the way. I wanted to stretch it to lap 90 if I could have, but heading into lap 90 is probably the best we can manage. Fuel is getting quite up there. Tyres not faring great, but you know, better than what it was in the last stint. So that's at least more manageable, a bit nicer on my end. And here we go. Another stint is done. We really pushed the fuel to its limit, I reckon. Tyres as well were pretty done, like I've already said. Then we go, 1% fuel left. Cutting that down to fine margins. But we're buying ourselves flexibility, like I said, at the end of the race. And so comes to a close of my quadruple stint. What's five up to stint, whatever it is. It has come to an end. So we should have a lead of about 5 seconds. 5 or 6 seconds if we're lucky. So let's see. As we rejoin on the circuit. The tyre advantage that we're going to have is going to be pretty ridiculous now as we crawl back up to speed. And then onto the track. The lead was, in fact, 4 seconds. $50 laps left. Gotta say, it's pretty crazy that we're consistently running around in the 2-minute 10s now. When at the start of the race, I was in the 2:15s, 14s, 13s. What's this one? 2:10.6. So not bad. If we're in the 10s, I think like we're, you know, out of reach for the AI. Let's check. Their best laps are in the low 11s. You can see we've done a 2:10.0. But yeah, it's just crazy to see how much progression we've made since at the start of the race. When I literally had no practice, not a single corner worth of practice, and I threw myself right in the deep end. Albeit we did red flag the race, but you know, we find ourselves in a very handy position. I love how as soon as I talk, completely bowler wide there at turn 2. This will be a 2:13 now. That chopper's got to be running out of fuel surely. Been flying around for 4 hours now. That is very impressive fuel economy. I want whatever they've got in their engine. Many choppers around, actually. There it is. 209, baby. 209.814. I'm happy with that. Very, very happy. There is no way that I can really improve upon that too much. Everyone else is pitting. Life is good. Yeah, okay. Very late dive into the pit lane. Just saw my tyre went red and the indicator for 85%. That is another stint under the books. There's no need to extend the stints now. We know we still have to make two more stops, including this one. So we may as well balance the tyre life out a little bit. The gap was about 40 seconds last time we came out. The last time we pitted, so we should imagine the lead by about 15 seconds. You can't tell that I'm tired at all, can you? It's been a long day. A very, very long day indeed. If you're still here, I really, really much appreciate you sticking around. If you're still here, right. What can we say? Right, Kmart in the comments. Not sponsored, by the way. I love how I've just made a pit stop and my tail lights are being fixed. The outer edges of the tail light glass had actually been shattered, but the pit crew have fitted new tail lights for us. I can't do anything about the wing mirrors, which we lost about 30 laps ago. So even if I am involved in a battle or something, I won't be able to use my mirrors. It would have been interesting if we pressed on with the original race. So it was 30 seconds down on the leader. Now we lead by 17. And you got to remember at one point as well, we were 16 seconds or so off the lead at the start of this race, starting in P17. So we would have been right in the mix heading into the final stint. But, you know, we've toppled over these guys anyway. We've just got to hold on now. This is the part of the race where everything just starts to get a bit weary. Very easy to make mistakes. Body's getting sore, back sore, hands are cramping up. It's not good. Should be alright though. Just I'm not used to holding the controller, especially for long periods of time like this. Oh, 5/10 up. Right, let's convert this. Clean final corner. I think this should be a new fastest lap of the race. We had a really clean run down the mountain. It's a 209.2.
He's up nearly 0.7.
Where has that come from? Is this track rubbering in? There's no visual evidence of that happening. Am I getting faster? Wait, what's the dealio? I'm now starting to think that an 8 is possible. Oh yeah, 20 laps left by the way. It'd be insane to drive this track. You can actually, this is actually a public piece of road. This is a street track, obviously. People live here. Like, I think there's like a big mansion off to the left. A school kind of here as well. Bathurst, the town slash city, is directly straight a little bit. A kilometre or two. That's about all I know. But it would be my absolute dream to come here one day. Drive on this place myself. Not too sure how I'd be about camping. I think I'd have to stay in that hotel there or something. Wonder how busy that thing gets. The reception, the atmosphere at Bathurst really doesn't compare to any other race in this country. It's our version of Monza. It's, yeah, it would be absolutely insane to drive my own car around here one day and just get a true appreciation as to how narrow it is. The undulation change, they say it's absolutely ridiculous. All the blind corners. Looks like there's yellow flags. They keep flashing on the run into turn 2. I don't know if it's just me. I've been noticing this all race. So I'm gonna take it back here for the rewind. Look off to the left. It looks like there's blinking yellow stuff just popping in and out of the render distance, draw distance, or whatever it is. There's no electric. Is there? There's supposed to be electronic safety car board flag. Oh, am I mistaking F1? I don't know if V8 supercars have those flashing yellow flag LED light things. You would think that they do, I think. I think we only have marshals. I don't know, I'm going crazy here. This is 4.5 hours into this race. Make it like pretty much 5.5, considering first 20 laps, which I've mentioned about 20 times already this video. And I'm going off on many tangents. I think I've got to at this point just to keep my sanity. Makes you wonder what the drivers think while they're racing. Right now I'm thinking about what I'm having for dinner. 69%, so I'm the worst tyre. I think I might come in soon. Give myself a nice 15 lap stint to the end on this final set of tyres. Be a nice little sprint. In we go. The final stop of the day. Absolutely race into the pit lane. But the sprint to the flag. How funny would it be if the AI at this point are like, you know what? We don't want to pit. We're going to stay out till the end of the Grand Prix and completely screw me over. That would be pretty funny. Oh, a couple of people are actually coming into the pits on this lap. Will we lose the lead though? I think we will. We'll get it back. They all need to stop again. It's been a long time since we've been on track with another car. So this will be an interesting exchange. Probably only last for a lap though. Oh wow. I've forgotten how terrible these guys are at coming down the mountain. I was actually starting to give them some credit and realise that, yeah, they are really bad through corners. And they go. That might be the last time we see another soul for the rest of this race. 7 laps left. I don't really know what to say here, guys. I'm pretty dead, to be honest. Putting on fumes, just trying to get to the end of this race. I'm getting too old for this. Almira and that smiling saucer guy. P2 and P3, after what has seemed like an eternity that Crisis has been leading, well, has been the leader of the AI all day, but it looks like Strategy has got Almira up in a P2, which is interesting. Really wish there'd be safety cars in this race to really like condense the field, bring it alive a little bit, come out at maybe ill-opportune moments and make you dive into the pits for Strategy. Because half the time that's what Bathurst is about, and even Indy, I mentioned this way earlier on. But taking risks, putting yourself back in the pack to give you fresher tyres, to top up some fuel again, to, you know, give yourself a strategy advantage later on in the day. I really wish there was a V8 supercar game, like a proper one, kind of like Toka, Race Driver 2 and 3, but for a modern age, we need to have a full grid of 2019, 2020 V8 supercars from Australia. We need to have all the tracks. Yes, I kind of understand that maybe it's not as profitable because Australia as a whole, you know, isn't the biggest market in the world, even I'll admit. But it would be super, super cool anyway to throw into the mix nonetheless. Whether it be in Forza, the next motorsport game, or whether Codemasters take it on, once again, that'd be absolutely incredible. But it's been so long now that us, you know, Aussie Supercars fans have been waiting 13 years. It's been since Toka 3 at least was released in Australia. Please. Should start a petition or something. Here we go. Uncharted territory. We're on lap 160 of 161. 2 laps left. And we will have oh god. Can't speak. And we will have completed the great race. I don't know if I have the motivation actually to just push on and try and gun for a fastest lap. I don't know if I've actually got it in me. I don't know how Peter Brock, back in the day, 1979, in an A9X Torana, won this race by 6 laps and set the lap record on the last lap. Absolute madmen. Love this race. I love this track. And if you're not from Australia, I really do encourage you to give this a go one day. Well, not give it a go, just, yeah, give it a go in terms of watching it, at least. I think you owe it that much. It's one of the great races in world motorsport. I feel like it's one of those ones where, unfortunately, because of its geographical location, time zones, etc., it doesn't quite get the spotlight that it perhaps deserves. Even for me, I know about this race and I love it so much, but even for me, like in the UK, it's so hard to keep up with what's actually going on. So there's no wonder that this sport doesn't really have the viewership from, you know, European audiences. America, yeah, that's fine, as I think it's still kind of peak time in America when the race is on. And for me in the UK, I think it'll start at maybe midnight, 11 p.m. and that's only 4 hours away from when I am commentating this right now. So I'm going to get this race done, hopefully edited. I don't think I'm actually going to get this video out before the race has started or even finished, but we'll hopefully be on the same day that it took place. The same too with the Japanese Grand Prix. Always is an interesting clash of events. I never miss an F1 race, but to be honest, I never really want to miss Bathurst either, and I feel like Bathurst usually takes precedence over your run-of-the-mill F1 race. Oh, it's all going to crap here on this last lap. That's okay. We've got a lead of 18 seconds. Alnira is going to steal P2 off of Crisis, who has been up there all day in P2 as the best AI driver. I can't believe we've got to the end of this race. It's been a long old boy, this one. We had the red flag. I say red flag. We had the moment where my Xbox didn't continue when I turned it back on from where we left off last night. And so that made an interruption into things. We had the setbacks early on of our pace, our tyre wear, but we fought back really strong in the second and third stints. We took the lead, and then we let economy and consistency do the rest. And here we are, 2 corners away from not only finishing the great race. I feel like we should get some burnouts going here. Don't stuff it up at the final hurdle, Ben. Here we go, last corner. Reverse entry, why the hell not? We have not only finished the great race, but we are going to win it as well. In the number 51, Kmart Commodore of Greg Murphy. Tyres are on fire. I'm on fire. We're done. Thank you guys so much for watching. That has been the Bathurst 1000. I'm just so happy to have got to the end in one piece. 5 hours and 12 minutes is the finishing time for us. And we leaked a lot of time there. Actually, wasn't actually keeping track of how close it was behind the gap. We could have easily lost that if I wasn't paying attention. 10 seconds is the gap to Almira. You add on the 40, 45, 50 minutes that we unfortunately lost in the first 20 laps, and that is pushing the 6-hour mark. And I've got to say, a 10, 20 second gap to second place, that's quite close in the grand scheme of things. In a 6-hour race with no stoppages. Really had to work hard for that one. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. I want to do more stuff like this. This was so fun to do. I want to do the Bathurst 1000 on iRacing next year. We'll get it done. We'll have a driver, co-driver with us to do it all in. I'll hopefully live stream it. I have dropped the ball on the iRacing events in the second half of 2019, but we'll hopefully pick that up heading into next year. But that's it from me today. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you next time. Superhuman. Oh, that's my first race win with unbeatable AI. There you go. Oh, that's a good point, actually. I'm going to save this replay camera. This is like the after show, I guess, that you're watching now. We're going to see what the actual bonuses and stuff are for this race. I'd imagine that they're quite crazy. So let's quit out of here. 6-hour race. 5 hours. The first 20 hours don't actually count towards my progress. There we go. That's your podium. Alanira and Smiling Saucer complete the podium. Is that total? Is that 2 mil? 2.5 million. Oh my goodness, that is a tasty amount. And I think we'll jump up quite a few levels here as well. Let's just have a free V8 Supercar. I could have done with that before this race started. I basically used all of my savings to get that car. But anyway, we'll go for the car as well. May as well, because it gets our loyalty or that car collector rating up, whatever the hell that is. Let's go for that, why not? Oh, hello. I spy an Audi R8. Get that in my belly. Hopefully be doing that in real life very soon. Bentley Bentayga. Yeah, this is all just a formality. I reckon we level up probably 20 levels or something ridiculous like that. Tier level 7. Thank you very much. We have another car. The V8 Supercars come rolling in. I forgot to tell everyone we were playing for pink slips. And there we go. Level 36. So, near on 20 levels. We spent a bit of moolah purchasing cars along the way as well, but there we go.